People just enjoy being around each other. It's just having fun in a small ship environment.
So welcome, Mrs. and Mr. Seaborn.
Thank you very much.
So the first time I learned about them, Chris, I think, comes to Stijn and I in the office, and he's like, get a load of this email. Look how amazing this email is. So Chris, I don't know if you want to tell the story about how you met them.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I think John wrote an email to Mr. Anschutz in his head office, and Mr. Anschutz, when he gets mail, he always copies me in on his reply. And one thing stood out to me when he wrote back. He's a very lighthearted gentleman as well. He's like saying, well, with your family name, you got to take more cruises, right? and I knew about their next cruise, and we then ended up actually being sailing together in Tahiti last year on the very, very first mystery cruise. And gotten to know them a little bit. And if you look closely around the brochure, some of the emails and content you're getting from us, you will actually recognize John and Brenda a little bit, because they have been featured there, and we've done some photo shoots, because I also thought to them, well, they're so great looking. It's like, gosh, yes, we're going to be like a day or two later said, hey, John, Brenda, would you mind doing some photo shooting here with us? Because I think this is a great look, and we were in the Marquesas, and we had great backdrop, but with the two of them, so it's like the perfect fit for us. So, and that's how we came together, and now we've got you on the second mystery cruise.
Very gracious, Chris. That was a great introduction, I have to say. And I didn't realize they were serving free drinks out here. I didn't realize that was occurring. So. But when I wrote a letter to Mr. Anschutz, who is the owner and a very interesting gentleman in Colorado, and it's sort of like the president of Exxon sending you a letter back. I didn't expect to ever hear anything from him, and I got a very nice letter, and he said exactly that. With a name like Seaborn, you definitely have to take more cruises on our ships. So. We have had that interesting problem where you go to the port and there's a Seaborn ship in, and the guy at the dock says, oh, no, you should be over here. And I say, well, we're missing the U in our name, so we just come to the...
But we're still their favorite Seaborns.
Well, wow. That's what Chris says, but I'm not sure about it.
So do you want to talk a little bit about your first experience with Windstar and what, got you to write that letter in the first place?
Yeah, we Brenda and I... we're never real cruisers. We did a lot of camping and other kinds of things, and we had busy work schedules. But when we decided to maybe take a cruise, we looked around for the things that Windstar is known for: relatively small ships, goes into ports that other big ships don't go into, extremely high level of service. I mean, I think we've all experienced that, where the personnel on board are just terrific. And Chris, I think, is directly responsible for some of this, because putting the staff first in a lot of these things is so critical, because it's so nice to be able to come on board 10 years later and meet people you know. And so that's been great. And the small ship is nice because we get to meet you and other people on board, which is terrific. So we really enjoyed that. Our cruise in Tahiti was the very first time we went cruising, and we selected Windstar and just kind of loved the idea. And
So we had the Caribbean cruise, which started the whole letter to Phil. I'm sorry. And I don't want you to see me shake. So I'm trying to hold it. Yes. Thank you.
It's a great, when you're nervous.
We were in Tahiti on this cruise. We actually didn't realize it was a presidential Tahitian cruise. But while we were waiting for everybody to disembark and re-embark, because we were on the previous cruise, we're standing in the lunch line, and behind us I hear, "Are you the Seaborns?" And I thought, what are we going to do now? And turn around, and it's Chris and Silky. They both grabbed us, hugged us, welcomed us. We had no idea. And this was a year and a half after the letter. So how did that connection happen? It's because they followed all the way through and knew we were going to be on that cruise. And it was just,
When you say
this is
180
it.
degrees from the ordinary, that's one of the things that definitely is true. That's not going to happen in any other cruise line, I'm afraid.
So that was your first experience, and then you were in Tahiti, and obviously you met Chris. But I also want to talk about, you were one of the first couples I think we all texted with on that cruise, and Anne, who's also been on the podcast, she's here in the audience with Jerry. And, you know, we talked about there was a lot of challenges on that cruise in terms of not knowing where to go. And Chris talked about that yesterday, and now we're here, and we started with a challenge. And I think it's really great because you said there's not a lot of cruise lines. To me, what's 180 degrees from ordinary is when a challenge comes awry, we have our guests who are so understanding. You guys are so amazing to say, I'm having a fabulous time on board. I know you guys will figure it out, and you guys support us, and how things just turn around and make it happen. And you guys were so supportive during that cruise as well. You make our lives easier is what I'm trying to say.
well,
I think the thing that was impressive to me was that there were several of us sitting around at the same table, and I think Chris or someone said, well, it's kind of a mystery where we're going next, and because there was a big storm and the rest of it, and someone said, oh, a mystery cruise. And by the time we left that dinner, Chris had this all arranged in the corporate office and said,
Stijn was at one table,
Yeah.
and Chris is under the table texting. Stein's at the other table, and then
Another competition was actually what you all don't know. The competition was between Stijn and Chris, who's going to get more bookings from what table.
and I said to Brenda, I said, you know, corporate America doesn't really operate on that time schedule where everything's done under the table on text messages, and by the time you get up from dinner, it's done. So that was very impressive.
and here we are.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people here were on that same cruise.
Yes, indeed.
We signed up before we left. The cruise.
Yes, you were on my table. So yes, so thank you.
I think you
was
won that
on.
one.
But I will say that what you enjoy the most about Windstar, is the personal connection you have to the company, to the people in it. Is actually what I enjoy the most about Windstar working at it, because it is I'm getting to have the pleasure to sail with you all, but I also have a very fortunate situation that I actually work with Janet and with Stijn and the team and Melissa. And that is really fun because they are working like that. We are working like what's in front of us, and I think what comes through in challenging situations is actually the best of Windstar, because it's as many of you know, and who've sailed with us many times, when something goes wrong, I mean, it's always easy to point a finger at something, and yet, it's things go wrong. That's just how the world is. But I always see the light and how the team comes to the table and rectifies the situation. And I think that is really special, and I think our guests, our crew, our employees are really feeling that, because we want to do it right by everyone. And I think that's a great connection to have. I mean, how is it possible to start a mystery cruise? Actually, not in Athens. It's like, and on an Easter weekend, getting buses organized, getting the ship fueled, getting the ship provisioned, everything a day later, basically, on Easter weekend, the holiest weekend there is. That's because of Stijn and his team to organize everything.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
I did miss that nice dinner, actually, we had planned that evening.
Yeah, I ate your dessert, actually.
Some of us, yeah, that looked fabulous. I saw the pictures and the leftovers. But again, no, it was thanks to, again, we were there fortunate with our partners. It's, we talk about our crew members. Some of them have been with us for, almost as long as the company exists, right? I saw Gino the other day. He celebrated his 35-year anniversary last year, right? So, but it's the same, the partners we work with, we are really loyal as long as, we have great partners all over the world. And it was thanks to that dinner that they had set up for us to thank them and for us to thank them for their partnership that, we were able to turn this around quickly, right? It's because of, the help of all our team members Melissa, who's in the audience in particular, was there too, coordinating with our port agents and our tour operators to make it all happen. And they would do this every day for us, 24/7, because they are great partners to us and we are great partners to them. So again, it shines through not only with our shoreside team members, our onboard team members, our guests. It's another family out there with our third-party vendors as well. So and it all connects. And as Chris said, it's a joy to be working all together alongside, right? So we all share the same values and the same passion, and that's what makes this brand so special to me.
Well, Stijn and Chris and everyone else in the team, thank you so much, and we never had a doubt. We always knew we would get here, and we're ready for whatever it brings, so bring it on.
I love it. And talking about where we're going next, it's really exciting. And I don't know, Stijn, I know Melissa has been planning for quite some time, and we've had her actually on the podcast, and I recommend for everybody to watch that episode. But we're going to Taranto, because by the time we air this, we're going to be talking about what the Mystery Cruise, the first port of call in Italy. And I think it's really great because a lot of folks, including Silke, when she was talking about what am I going to pack for this cruise, she would ask me, she really tried hard for many months to try and get the destination out of me. And every time I saw her, she would ask me, what am I going to wear? She knew where to hit me in the core. She knew I would understand. But, and she said, well, she would call it the Greek cruise. And I'm like, why are you calling it the Greek cruise? Well, maybe because it's leaving out of Athens. I thought, okay, great. All right, great. And so now as we head to the south of Italy, which was, actually built by the Greeks, it was part of the Magna Grecia. We're actually going to Greece. It was just Greece 2,000 or plus years ago. And so, yeah, it is the Greece cruise. And what your team has done, and I assure you, I ask you all, implore you, the shore excursions that they have curated for Taranto tomorrow are exceptional. Have you selected yours yet?
Well,
go ahead.
We had the national park, which isn't going to be tomorrow, so we had to re-coordinate, but we're working on that.
I love it. You see, and I'm sure it's going to be fabulous, whatever that may be. Love that. Oh, then my note cards. Wait, I won't be able to know.
I will say the packing challenge, because I'm a person of simplicity. I travel with hand luggage because I've lost too many times my suitcase. I mean, there's more suitcases of me around the globe, which I will never see that I care to remember. But so I travel hand luggage. And Silke is different. She doesn't travel hand luggage. And but it's funny because I said, okay, we're gonna check one suitcase, which means I will be standing at the line waiting for a suitcase and worried if that thing actually makes it or not, and so on. And Silke said, no, it's not gonna happen. We have to check a suitcase. But so she packs a suitcase and there's a bunch of stuff left, and so she starts invading my hand luggage.
Yes.
So it's like
Every man's dilemma.
Yeah. So guess what happened? We have checked 2 bags. And my stuff apparently was then checked too, because the shoes we took in the hand luggage. So if we would have lost our luggage, all we would have had was spare shoes.
Oh, no.
High heels.
Chris, I know your carry-on bag also has your 75 pairs of glasses.
Yes, my carry-on has my glasses. Yes, I agree. Yes, they go into the hand luggage. But all of that fits really well. I have got a really good system. It just gets thrown upside down when traveling.
We're going to need a podcast on what to pack with Chris and Silke.
Yeah.
I love that. And we are coming to the end of the podcast segment, but I will end this with the question that I have asked in every segment, which is for all of our viewers watching here today that are looking to consider Windstar, and you had to recommend one itinerary only, what would that one itinerary be?
I would have to say probably the Mediterranean and Greece and Italy. I mean, those are the most beautiful places, and the level of infrastructure that a lot of those places have, even in the small ports, is really wonderful. So you can go and walking along the piazza and have a very nice meal and come back to the ship, and it's just a wonderful experience. So I would say that probably the Mediterranean and Greece and Italy.
I love that. And I
By
would
the way, we'll be in Iceland in August.
I love that.
Too.
For all of you here with us today and listening in, Iceland with Windstar Cruises is absolutely spectacular, and I would absolutely recommend that as well.
And Silky wants to go, by the way. So yeah, she's already said that. And I said,
We invited her.
yeah.
Should we do a mystery Iceland cruise? There we go. All right.
I told her I knew somebody who could set that up. So.
All right,
Do
the
that over
competition
dinner.
begins. Stijn, are you ready?
Bring it on.
And with that, we will end this segment, and with a very, very thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Seaborn, for joining
thank
us.
you.
Today. Okay, welcome back to this next segment of this episode as we are live here on board our first ever podcast for Winds of Change on our Mystery President's Cruise. And this next couple does not have a name like Seaborn, but they are absolutely fabulous. And I want to say about this couple before I ask for them to join us here is that about 2 weeks ago, I got a text message through Facebook from Iliana. And she said, by any chance, are you or Chris or anyone from Windstar going to be on the cruise following the mystery cruise? Because I would love to meet you all. And I said to her, I know I'm getting off early and Chris has to get back and we're not going to be on board. And she's like, do you happen to have any suites available? And I'm like, do you want to come a week early? And she's like, let me see with my husband, Jeff. We're really big fans. We would love to experience this mystery cruise. We didn't realize the dates when we booked ours. We had already booked ours when this was announced. And sure enough, 2 days later, so this is like 7 days ago, right? I get a message from her and she said, oh, I've talked to your team and I've booked here and now I'm going to be joining on your mystery cruise. So for everyone here listening and here with us live, can you tell them a little bit about yourselves and how many Windstar cruises have you all done?
18. Well, I'm Eliana. Hi. Actually, finishing this trip will be our 18th Windstar cruise.
18.
18. So this is 17, I guess, technically.
Wow.
Yep.
I think that's more than I took.
And they're quite,
Yes.
I love that. I didn't realize it was, when I had met you, I didn't remember it was 18. That's a lot. That's amazing. Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, we just discovered cruising, about 9 years ago, I think. And my first cruise ever was a Windstar cruise. She had been on one or two before we met.
So let's do the math here. Because so in the last 9 years,
Minus COVID.
minus COVID, you guys have sailed with us
Yes. Exclusively Windstar.
exclusively with, oh my gosh, I love you even more now. That's amazing. How cool is that? I mean, a round of applause to you all.
I mean, it only took one time, and I was like, wow, the service is amazing, the food is amazing, the crew members are so, attentive and polite, and everything was just like awesome. It's like, I never need to take another cruise on any line again.
Try anything
No,
else. That's it.
don't need to try anything else. Found our home here.
Thank you for that. And so, Chris, I know that you have met a lot of our Yacht Club members, right? And we always talk about, what is it that makes people keep coming back over and over again? And I think, you say it best. I know it's the crew, and they've mentioned that.
Yeah, I think this is the cool part about the job. I know I keep telling everyone that I have a cool job, but it's true because what actually happens on board is that our crew, our officers, our teams deliver such a delightful vacation experience, and it's not just a cookie cutter experience. It's tailored to you, right? I mean, it has a fun-loving aspect. It has a laid-back aspect. It's not very pretentious or very, very stiff and regimented. And I think it attracts a guest and a style of guest who really enjoys that sort of freedom. And I tell you, I keep getting a lot of letters and emails about, oh my God, Chris, I have to tell you. I have to tell you about Nada. I have to tell you about Captain Pedro. And here's what they did. And so internally, and I'm only sharing this in a small group in a podcast, which Million can look at, is like we actually have what we call a positive reinforcement program. Because we are 180 degrees from ordinary, so we have internally and in Stijn's team, our guest relations team, if they receive a complimentary letter, we are rewarding you for that. And because, the regular thing is if something goes wrong and somebody complains, of course we're going to take care of you and we're going to make up to you. But we like rewarding you as well, because we share those letters with our teams on board the ships, the captain, the hotel managers. They get those, and when we do that, then we also empower our crew to be themselves, the really authentic way they are, and allow them and show them that they do really well. And to me, I think this is a cycle where each entity feeds from each other, the guests from the crew from the officers, and it's really working very well here at Windstar. And so that's why I'm so appreciative when I'm getting the letters, and I always stop everything, and Stijn knows that I read all of them, and we go through every month through all the comment cards and all the comments as well, because we want to be attached and we want to be knowing what's going on our ships. But for somebody who's taking a cruise to write a letter and just praising our crew and our teams for what they did, I think that deserves a special answer. And so that's what we do.
I love it. So out of all the cruises that you've taken with Windstar, which one has been your favorite by far?
Japan.
Japan.
Twice.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yes.
Yes, her mic is on. So she said Japan, and she's done it twice. So that was when the Star Breeze was in. What ship was in? Yeah, the Star
Was the
Breeze.
Breeze,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. So can you tell you a little bit about that cruise and what made it so special? Because for those of you who are here live, you know we're going back to Japan with the Star Seeker for the 26-27 season, and it's sold very, very quickly. But we have definitely some suites available. So can you tell us a little bit
I haven't
about?
booked the Seeker yet.
You haven't booked, but you've been there twice. So tell us about Windstar in Japan.
Well, we've been to Japan before.
Okay.
But going with Windstar is totally different. First of all, like the technicalities that you don't have to worry about going from one place to another, taking the trains or moving around.
Right.
But the most important thing is like you get to go to a small towns, you get the cultural activities that the town itself offers to the ship, and plus the ship itself offers to the guests. So you have like the best of everything there. You have the crew, of course, that is always nice. We have friends that we know for years in the ships. And the whole experience, I remember, I think it was James, was the hotel manager on one of them, and he used to live or lives in Japan. So
he does.
still does, right? And so it was amazing because he lived there. He knew the culture, he knew the places. So it was an extra help, an extra, support for the guests that needed something. Plus, it's just amazing. The country's amazing. The ship was amazing. The whole experience, and I recommended that to all my friends. So hopefully, some will join us in the Seeker because we're hoping to do that. Maybe not the first season because, like you said, probably sold out.
Yes.
So probably we have to wait a little longer.
No, but I think we have a couple suites for you. Before you get off the ship, we're going to make sure to get that one.
Yeah,
booked.
we won't book that like a week before, though. Like
Okay.
this one, but
Okay. All right. Yeah, I love that. But so Japan, absolutely. I love also because once you go, I mean, it's not close to get to Japan, right?
No.
I mean, once you're paying for that airfare, once you're there, you want to see the most of it.
Exactly, and you get to do so many ports.
Yes.
And the tours that you do there, like they're even more like amazing because you get to know other areas that you wouldn't do by yourself.
And for those of us who do take 2 checked-in luggages, it's great to unpack once and only, go to multiple destinations. That definitely helps too, right? And so I know that Japan is obviously very up and coming for you. Any other destinations that are your favorite that just really stand out?
Well, Greece.
Greece.
This is the
Okay.
fourth cruise.
Fourth one I think we've done.
We
Oh my
wouldn't
God,
start
amazing.
Well, this isn't necessarily a Greek cruise, but
Well, the following
We
next
are
Next week,
heading
yeah.
to the
Next
south of Italy, and like I've mentioned, that it was the Magna Grecia. So to me, it's still you
Greece.
can consider it
It's
a
Greek
Greek
ones.
cruise. It was Greek once.
Yes. And of course Tahiti.
Tahiti.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that.
Every cruise we have enjoyed. Everything is different.
Yes.
And like again, you have the repeat of the crew. After all this time, we know so many people that we keep in touch,
Yeah.
that we keep seeing over and over again. So it's like really like a family. Like
Yeah.
I know the little ribbon said like my second home is Windstar Yacht. True it is because you find your family at sea here.
I love it.
And it's like every time we come here, we just see them, we just hug them. It's like we just haven't seen them yesterday, even though some of them we haven't seen in a year or
Right.
two. But we always run into somebody and we meet new people too.
I love
so that's amazing.
And you mentioned Tahiti and you mentioned Japan. Like we have local Tahitians now on board. I think that's one of the things people talk about, other cruise brands in Tahiti. Do you want to talk about how we actually employ people from the region, local ambassadors?
Yeah, of course, and Tahiti is a perfect example. So always with Windstar, we bring the destination close, right? We get closer into the destination immersion. We always have, curated experiences. We have local entertainment at least once every cruise. We bring on local entertainment. So, but we started it off in French Polynesia to really even further immerse our guests into the local destination. We actually brought on French Polynesian ambassadors. So instead of the duo that we, have the pleasure of meeting here at the Star Grill, we actually have 2 French Polynesians, and they rotate. So we now have a, group of 6 French Polynesians that kind of are always on board. There's always 2 at least on board, and they, besides playing the ukulele, during lunch and so forth, they do dance lessons. They talk about the culture. Or just as walking by, you may sail past Moorea and, Pearl or Tibari may say like, oh, this is where I grew up and I can't wait, my family's probably waiting. And so it really, again, brings that, as, Lenny said, it brings the destination even closer and on board, actually. And we do that, obviously, with French Polynesia having such strong roots, sailing there over 37 years. That was obviously the perfect opportunity to start it off. But we just completed the Pride Caribbean season, and we have a Caribbean band on board during the Caribbean season. So again, it's bringing not just the music, but also during daytime, because you connect with all our employees, right? Regardless if they're the captain or the performers, you make these connections throughout the day, and they'll talk about their culture and the destinations we are visiting. So that's a good differentiator as well.
Yes.
And I learned last night during dinner that you have started a tradition with Windstar, and you're celebrating your birthdays now with us. You've made it a thing.
Wow.
This will be the 3rd year, this past February, the 3rd year. And we're about to book my next year birthday on the winter cruise. So I'm really happy about that because you are doing now the Med instead of the Caribbean.
So your birthday month is February, I believe. So February in the Mediterranean waters, beautiful birthday.
Exactly. So it's like we started with Tahiti, and then we have done the winter cruises as well. So I hope to continue that tradition like forever, as long as I can.
And I wish you many, many years of birthdays so that you can continue to do that with Windstar.
I feel like we're sharing that tradition, and mine is not purposely, but I feel like the last couple of years, December is always a busy month for us. Mine is in December, and we either have dry docks or, looking forward in this December, not only do we finish a dry dock, we'll actually take delivery of Star Seekers. So I haven't been home for my birthday or anniversary for the last few years, and I'll continue that tradition too. So we share that.
Good tradition to have.
Absolutely.
It's almost the same celebrating your birthday in a dry dock than on an actual cruise, right? It almost looks the same, right?
We are still a bit family, so that's all that matters.
Not lavish at all, I can tell you that. And Stijn, for those of you who the windsurf was refurbished the last part of last year, and that was quite the dry dock. And so Stijn had to stay there longer. He had to call Lucas up and say, hey, I'm staying here for my birthday, and you were on for Christmas.
We were planned to go for Christmas, but I wasn't planned to do the transatlantic. I started my career same as Chris on these ships, and I don't think I had done a transatlantic for over 20 years. And I ended up saying, well, I'll probably have to stay a few more days. And then I called back, and Lucas said, well, where are you now? I said, well, we just left Madeira, so I'll see you in 14 days.
Yes, and that's why we love Windstar Cruises. We actually love what we do to be able to do that. So that's amazing. So as we wrap up, I'm going to ask you the same question that I've asked all of our guests on board the podcast. And now I can actually say on board because we are on board. That's cool. We have listeners that are considering Windstar, and we want to hear from you all. You guys are great influencers of decisions for the future generation of people coming on board Windstar. So if you were to recommend one itinerary, which one would that be for it to be their first itinerary to sail with us?
First one?
I think Greece is easier to
probably-
get than. I would say Japan, but it's a little long of a flight,
Greece
but
and Japan.
yes.
Okay. Jeff?
Yeah, I think Greece because, usually, especially the islands are more of a moderate climate than Athens. So
Yes.
even over the summer, it's comfortable. Like Santorini is amazing. Mykonos very popular. Like
Yes.
the places you can hit on those itineraries, as well as other less known but equally great or even better
Yes.
ones.
Absolutely, and I can tell you that we not only have the traditional Greek isles that you mentioned, like Santorini and Mykonos, but we also have a beautiful northern region Greek itinerary and beautiful cruise tours. So I absolutely agree with you. Would recommend Greece for them as well. So thank you very much, Jeff and Elaine, and I'm so appreciative of you coming on board and joining us here today. And I know Elaine got her invitation to come, and she thought it was just the regular podcast that you all saw. She actually didn't know that she was going to be here up on stage with us, so it was another mystery for them as well. We love just, going with the flow. So thank you, Elaine. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you very much.
For having us.
Thank you.
Welcome back to this next segment. We are still on board our mystery cruise, and our next guest is actually a first-time Windstar cruise guest. And, I was actually scrolling through Instagram and trying to make sure that I'm sharing with everyone what's going on. We just revealed our port yesterday, and I come across Heather's profile. I was having lunch with Laura, and she said, Heather received an invite to go to the podcast, and I just don't know what to tell her. And I said, okay, let me go and explain to her what's going on. And I said, we're having a podcast. I saw your Instagram feed. I love what you have to say. You have a very strong voice.
Thank you.
And a beautiful one indeed. And I just wanted to hear from you, and I think you would inspire, hopefully, the people that are here and the ones who are watching us here today. So what is it about Windstar? Can you tell me your first impression about Windstar?
I've been blown away. First of all, I think congratulations to you all, because what a mystery. And I've realized exactly what kind of control freak I am, because every moment of it, I'm constantly trying to figure out what's coming next. It's been such a pleasant experience. I've met so many lovely people on board. I have sailed on a lot of different ships and lines. I won't mention which ones.
Okay, if you do. I mean, I love to educate when you're comparing something. You can absolutely mention.
Yeah, I've been on all kinds, and I have to say, the people on board this ship are just phenomenal. We've felt right at home. I'm traveling with my husband-ish, and we felt right at home from the very beginning.
I love that. And I just want to tell you that, Heather, it's funny that you're here sitting next to us, because when Chris and Stijn were talking about this cruise and they envisioned the guests who would be on board, they literally said it's for the guest who doesn't want to plan before they go anywhere, that they trust Windstar and they just want to, go and experience. They know we're going to take them to a wonderful destination and they're going to have great options, but they don't really worry about, being pre-planning everything. So you're actually the person that we weren't planning to have on board.
Well done.
But I love that you're enjoying it anyways, right? That's amazing.
I think Heather is part of the Trust But Verify group.
Maybe.
I get that.
Yes, I love that. So can you tell us a little bit about, where you've traveled the world and what you have found just in you? I mean, you haven't visited a port yet, so this is very, very new to you. But love to kind of get your perspective of what is attracting you, what's getting excited about Puglia and based on, going to this region of the world.
Yeah, I've never been before. So that was really cool. I'm really excited. Well, first of all, I too thought I was going on a Greek cruise. And I have a son at home who's 21 who was very upset because he's always wanted to go on a Greek cruise, and he couldn't believe that I was going without him. So he'll be very excited.
Now you can bring him back.
To know I didn't leave him behind. I have traveled the world. I've been very fortunate. I'm a travel writer, so I write about travel, and so that has taken me all across the globe. We did spend an entire year traveling to 29 countries on 6 continents. With our kids when they were 6 and 8. They're now 21 and 23, and we haven't stopped. So, I love it. I love it, and I'm glad to be among fellow travelers.
And I want to bring up kids because that's something that we're known as an adult brand, and I am a working mom. I have 2 teenage boys, and usually I'm on these trips by myself, and because my husband's taking care of my kids, they're now older, and I get to bring my husband, which is really amazing. But traveling with kids as a mom is the best education that you can give your children. And I am trying to raise global citizens because in the world that we live in today, I truly believe that travel is the force of good that's going to allow us and all of us to live a better, happier life. And so for kids, I've always tried to, my kids had the big ship experience. I was working at Royal Caribbean when they were young. They loved it. when they tried Windstar, now being 14 and 17, and I know, Chris, I want to talk about your experience with your kids, and even Jesus' experience, that Christmas story. But what we found is that our kids are old enough where they want to be with with their parents and hang out with us and travel the world, and not necessarily be in a kids club, right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. So there's this whole myth of 18 summers, right? That you only get 18 summers with your kids, and you use those 18 summers, and then somehow they magically fly away and never come again.
I agree.
And I can tell you, 23 years in, you're not going anywhere.
Tell that to Chris, it's okay.
I have also 2 daughters. One is a young adult, the other one is a teenager, and the teenager is sort of always saying to us, "You're never home." and I said, "Well, you do realize I work for a cruise line." And then she says, "But Mom is not coming all the time with you." He said, "Yes, because we want you to watch the dogs." So it is true.
Useful. They become useful.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because, Janet, when you started, you did a little bit sort of a study as to who is our guest, right? I mean, we know, of course, our club members really well. We know who is the traditional Windstar cruisers, and we hear from you a lot. But what is the market we also want to try to entice to come to Windstar? And so there was lots of segmentation going on, and then suddenly the group called Cruising Parents came up. And I immediately felt like somebody spoke to me, because I was immediately the spokesperson for the Cruising Parents, because it's those of us who have kids who are old enough to stay at home, watch the house and the dogs and what have you, and get themselves to school and back, who really sort of suddenly feel a bit more free. And so going on the ship is actually, for that group, really good, because as a parent, you're still a parent, you're still working, you still have a daily life. Going then on a cruise is really a simple way to just get a lot of things to do. You see different countries, different experiences, without having to invest a lot of planning. I mean, look at us now. We're sitting on a mystery cruise. I mean, I only know that I have to be on the pier tomorrow and do a tour, and that's really it. But I think that group is interesting, and I think many of us know parents and are parents who, like, at that point in life, is like, yeah, it's actually okay to go away from the children.
Yeah, to get an empty nest, I actually had to change the nest, right?
Oh,
I don't think I'm
you're
alone.
speaking to me.
I love that. So from all the places that you've gone with your children, which have been the best, most memorable places in the world?
Wow, that is such a hard question. We all have different favorite places. Portugal is a personal favorite of mine.
Ooh, there's a lot of Portugal fans around here.
Absolutely love that destination, and I've had the good fortune of being able, I've gone to the Azores, and I've been to Porto, and I've been to Lisbon, and I hope to get to Madeira and a few others, so absolutely love that. We've been to India, and I know we really enjoyed that. We spent 6 weeks in India, and the amount of time you spend there only makes you want to go back. My kids love Thailand. We've loved everything. China, all over.
Amazing. And so we are sailing to Thailand, and but I don't think China's in our radar right now, nor is India.
We are sailing to Madeira.
Yes,
in the
in
winter,
Portugal,
yes.
yes. Actually, our ship is being built in Portugal.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So,
good choice.
Yes, absolutely. And so with that, I'm, just wanted, if you had a recommendation, obviously having been in many cruise lines, and your first impression, because I can't, grill you too hard, because you're 2-3 days into the cruise, but just what do you think are the biggest differentiators just from your first impression? When you go to write about your experience with Windstar, what are the things that you're going to call out for your readers?
Okay, definitely the guests. That's top. Like, congratulations to all of you. You're
round
wonderful
of applause
people.
to you all.
It's been wonderful. I have a trivia team. I don't know if they're in the audience now, but
Are you competitive too?
oh yeah,
I have a lot of very competitive people, and I'm sure the audience, everyone's nodding. Yes, we're competitive too.
But it's been wonderful. Yeah, we've just been, enveloped, which has just been wonderful, and the staff has been incredible. Congratulations to you on that as well. The rooms are super comfortable. The food has been delicious. And even we've just had the one chance to sort of wander off the ship in the cities whose name I can't properly pronounce.
That's okay. Athens?
Nope. That one I could do. That one I could do.
Reyes.
Piraeus.
Piraeus, yeah.
Yeah, but even that we enjoy. We've had great weather and everybody's so amiable. It's just been wonderful.
Amazing. I think, we're so blessed to have people trust us to come and join us. I know you all, you to come back to us, we're also very blessed because you keep coming back to us. And you all, like I've mentioned, are our greatest influencers because you are telling your friends when you come back. And you're coming back sometimes with, a big group. And so I cannot wait to welcome you back. If you have, again, I'm sure you've seen our itineraries, and if there's anything that you would recommend that you're interested and you would recommend your readers to come and sail with Windstar, knowing that we go to Tahiti in Europe. Is there any one recommendation that you would give them?
I don't know if there's one. I mean, Japan sounds exciting.
Yes.
So absolutely, and I've been to Japan and have absolutely loved it. So it'd be great to go. And I love that you are bringing locals on board. I think that is fabulous. I think too often people get to destinations and never actually meet anyone from the destination. So if you're making that easier, I think that's really commendable.
I love that. And I think that sometimes happens with, the big ship cruise brands.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a disconnect between the destination and the ship because the ship is the destination for them. They want you to spend as much time on board.
Yeah, small ships have become so popular, and I think that's exactly it. People are recognizing that they want to spend more time with each other. They want to spend more time with the people of the destination and a little less time at, some of the big buffets and
I love it.
And that.
Well, and do you want to tell everyone, I know if your Instagram handle, because I would love to read your travel story when you're completed here. I want everybody to stay connected with you. I think you're a very beautiful soul, and I just want to make sure that you can share that with everyone
Thank you
here
so
who wants
much.
to follow you.
Thank you so much. So on Instagram, I'm at by Heather GD, and my full name is Heather Greenwood Davis.
And we'll put it in the caption as well. Heather, thank you so much for, again, during lunchtime, agreeing to do this podcast.
No problem.
Awesome job.
Welcome. We are back on our next segment, and we would love for those who are watching us or here with us in this room who don't know you, can you please introduce yourselves to the audience?
Yes, I'm Carla, and we took our first cruise on Windstar in 2017 for our honeymoon. And this is John, and we are on our 8th cruise right now.
And a week after we get off this ship, we're in Barcelona, embarking in Star Pride. And to answer your question, sir, we are linking up with a dear friend from about 3 cruises back. She's a pulmonologist in Houston, Texas, and he is not a fundraiser, but he is the kind of gentleman who teaches development managers and fundraising staffs in nonprofits how to effectively do their business.
So I would love to tell everyone who's watching us now in the recording, and I'm going to ask you actually the question now after you've answered it, because I think one of the things that I talk about is how you are our greatest influence. And as this is the last segment of this podcast, I asked the audience before you all joined, what question should we be asking our Yacht Club member? And I think one very special thing that happens when you're on board our cruises is that you meet wonderful people. And you meet friends, and Mr. and Mrs. Seaborn told me they were in the earlier podcast. They said not only did we book the mystery cruise, we met friends in our Rome round trip, and we've asked them to join us here on the mystery cruise. So you guys speak a lot about how you have met with other friends on board. And so John, the response to your question was that you're now after this cruise going to be meeting with some friends that you've met on Windstar.
And that's only one of the friends that we've made for life. I'll let Carla tell about the other one.
On our honeymoon cruise, we met a lady and her daughter that were taking their first Windstar cruise. Since then, we've gone to the daughter's wedding, and we've gone to visit them twice. They live in Connecticut. We live in Kansas City, Missouri. It's not really down the road. And then today, we meet people from all over, from England and from Canada. Today, we met a lady that lives about 3 miles from us in Kansas City.
So sorry, where do you reside again? Kentucky?
No, Kansas City, Missouri.
Kansas City, okay. And so you've met a lady who lives 3 miles away from you. That's pretty impressive. And so I do want to actually note, because speaking of that same theme, meeting friends, there was one episode where we had Ann and Jerry, who are also live with us here today. And I remember the only reason why they were actually able to join us at the studio in Miami that day was because you were all visiting friends. So I think the theme is, when you travel with Windstar, you're not only enriching yourself with the destinations that you're sailing, but it's about who you're sailing with, which is the concept of this mystery cruise, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And we got on board the other day, well, in Istanbul, and the first people we ran into were our favorite room steward. We got a big hug from Christina, and then we saw Faisal, and the first thing he tells us is, we're going to have another baby. And I'm, how do you know your staff and your crew? You don't talk about that thing on a big ship, So, and then we watch other people on Facebook that are on the cruise, and which ship are you on? Are you going to be on this ship so we can see you again? It's just like, as you say, coming home.
Yes, it is. We've been saying it on the ship through the cruise. This is a second home for all of us in Yacht Club.
You're home at sea.
Yes.
And I think, if I may add, so I love to use the word connecting, because I think that's really what we do. And when we speak with our team members too, is how do we foster these connections, right? Heather pointed out we have lovely guests, and it's very easy to make friends on board. But everything we do is connecting with the destination, connecting with our team members, connecting with your fellow guests, right? So I do use the word connecting quite a bit. And, even when it comes to designing of the ship, we always have that in mind. And if you've been fortunate to be visiting one of our wind class ships recently with the refurbishment, even that is like in the lounges, have bigger sofas where people come and sit together and talk, rather than having all the little pockets of two you may see, right? So we intentionally, again, we're grateful for our guests that are very like-minded, but we also intentionally, everything we do is to foster and continue building those connections with those new demographics that Janet is bringing on as well. So
You are all helping me bring.
I think what the one word you actually just said is very true, the like-mindedness. I think people on Windstar, and I think John, you spoke to it earlier as well, it's like there's a like-mindedness, there's this ease of travel, there's really fun-loving, as we call it, as well. Like people just enjoy being around each other. And it's like a casual conversation or a dinner or play trivia, be really competitive, or, it's just having fun in a small ship environment.
That is so true. And then while we talk about the tours, to go to a destination such as we're doing tomorrow in Taranto, we're going to have the chance to get off the ship, walk less than a mile, and see a 500-year-old cathedral, and go another half mile and see a 1,000-year-old fortress. Where can you do that other than in Europe? And where can you do that in such a small environment? We saw on Santorini, from another line, tours number 15 and 16 of the day, that was the paddles, and each one of them was 60 people. Our little tour was coming on the bus, coming up the hill, was like 20.
And I think that's actually a great point. So tomorrow I'm going to be wine tasting. How many of you are doing the wine tasting tour tomorrow? Okay, not a lot. I think others are doing the UNESCO site. Okay, we have our priorities straight.
You have to find those local wines to bring on board.
Yes, exactly. And so Melissa actually told me that's the one that I needed to do. She wanted me to test that one out. But you're right. There are people, one of the unique things that we do, your team does, is you have great relationships that you talked about, but you have your team coming out and doing scouting trips. So this entire mystery cruise that we are doing, Melissa has actually scouted every single destination, and she has ensured that she has tours available, small ship tours, and I think tomorrow we only have like 10 people coming on our tour.
Yeah, that's right, and it happens for any specifically new regions, right? So we go back often with our partners too, and again, it's creating these relationships. I mean, even our partners from Italy, the south of Italy, I know Chris had dinner with them just a couple of weeks ago when they were visiting Miami. So again, and that allows us to challenge them sometimes because they do this for a lot of cruise lines and they sell, that's their bread and butter, and they sell these 16 departure cruise and they make money of that, and then we are there to challenge them because we only need 20 guests on a tour or 15 guests on a tour, so we challenge them and find something unique, right? And that's why you often have, again, I know there were very mysterious descriptions this time around, but there's always something for somebody.
Yep.
Either you love wine, or you love cooking, or you love UNESCO sites, or you love, the religious sites. So there's always something for everybody, and you end up in small groups and exploring things that you wouldn't be able to see with other cruise lines.
And by the way, for every shore excursion, which I didn't know this, you actually have the option of making it private. So let's say you don't want to go to the group, not even of 20 or 10. You actually can select, you can speak with our destination manager here and say, I want to have this excursion to be private. And I think that's pretty incredible. I didn't know that.
Exactly, you could do that anytime. We have, you often see those half-day vans or the full-day vans, and at that point, it's your driver, your guide, and you can say, look, I want to do exactly what these 40 people are doing, but I want to do it with a few friends I just made over cocktails last night at Compass Rose.
And so I know you've done several cruises with us, John and Carla, and I have to ask you the question because we are coming up to the end of our episode. We need to have to make sure our Yacht Club members get to our next event. But if you had to, we have a lot of viewers that come and join us on our Facebook group, and they're always asking us, this is my first itinerary, and where should I go with Windstar? So for everybody listening in here today, if you had to recommend one itinerary for them to introduce them to the Windstar experience, what would that itinerary be?
Well, last year we took Rome to Barcelona, including Sicily and Malta and ports in between, and we really enjoyed that.
What ship?
Windsurf.
The Windsurf, yes. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. However, I do have to say that Greece and going to Ephesus is a big highlight. So.
Yeah, and I have to agree on Treasures of the Greek Islands because it's a 1-week package, and if you are interested in the history around AD 1 or BC 100 to AD 100, it's a perfect tour. And then if you're interested in the industrial era, by all means, do the Panama Canal runs, either going from Puerto Caldera, Costa Rica, to Colón, Panama, and going through the canal on your last day, making it the high water mark, or doing it in the other direction.
I love that. Which is your favorite direction? The other day I read a post. You have a favorite direction?
Oh, yes. Puerto Caldera to Colón.
Colón.
Because then the canal on your last sea day is the absolute high water point of the trip.
I love that. John, you're filled with great tips. Carla, thank you so much for joining us. And we have had you here for a full hour, and we really do thank you. Everybody watching us and listening to us, and thank you, Stijn, and thank you, Chris, for joining us. And
Thank you. Thank you. It was awesome.
Yay!